Welcome into the Week 4 Market Report podcast at FantasyPoints.com. My name is Joe Dolan. With me today, as always, Mr. Graham Barfield, Mr. Tom Brolley here at FantasyPoints.com as we recap the entire Week 3 slate and look forward to Week 4 of fantasy football. The last week, guys, before bye weeks begin. So those waivers, you're like, oh, I don't want to pick that guy up. Well, so soon you're going to be starting that guy who's on the waiver wire. It's good to be with everybody as we recap I would say, decently eventful, but not terribly consequential slate. Not a whole lot of injuries so far of significance. We certainly have a few, and we will talk about them. But as always, we're going to go game by game, kind of news, info, observations. And we'll start with the Thursday night game. T-Bro, you've already recapped this one. It was a freaking disaster. The 49ers 30, the Giants 12. Another Danny Dimes disaster class behind an offensive line that was not protecting for him.
Yeah, this game, I think we kind of know Daniel Jones at this point. If he's going to be in a tough matchup, look elsewhere. Stream a quarterback if you have to. He has the Seattle Seahawks this week on Monday Night Football, so I think that's a spot where you can start
prime time again.
Yes, they are. Get excited for more Jets and Giants in prime time this week. Get to see Zach Wilson on Sunday night as well. So yeah, I mean, Jones, he had no chance. His two best players were out, Andrew Thomas and Saquon Barkley. Yeah, it was ugly here. So I think the book has kind of been written on Daniel Jones, and then Saquon Barkley. There's some optimism out there, but in the pregame show on Amazon, he wrote that he said that he had a high ankle injury. So I would expect him to miss at least another game or two. They could really use him back. That the running game was non-existent with Matt Breida and Gary Brightwell, but and Brandon Ayuk was the other injury going into the game. Seemed like that was kind of a precaution. If it was a Sunday game, it seemed like he might have had a chance to play. So I would kind of expect him to be back this week, but still another guy to keep an eye on here this week.
Graham, what's going on with Darren Waller? I mean, was it just a bad matchup? Are we encouraged by the fact that he got 7 targets, even if he turned those 7 targets into 20 yards?
Yeah, the chemistry between him and Daniel Jones hasn't been there. And, this is kind of like a preseason theme. We saw a rollover with the Steelers. It's like almost playing against second and third string backups isn't necessarily indicative of what's going to happen in the games. Yeah, tougher matchup for sure. I mean, Joe, you know best. The state of the tight end position is so brutal these days. I mean, you got to keep going back to Waller, but yeah, definitely a bit of a slower start to begin. The good news is he's healthy, had the hamstring injury. He's been fully healthy, no setbacks. He's good to go. And, it's something we'll monitor, but for now, I mean, he's 100% in my book.
The 49ers, Tom, you just mentioned Ayuk. I mean, right now, the 49ers are the 49ers. Like, look, I think the thing with Kittle is, I think we all anticipated. I had basically all Kittle overs in this game once Ayuk was ruled out. He's kind of one of those guys, like Graham, you just mentioned, the state of the tight end position is so bad, you kind of just have to play him and hope it's one of the spike weeks like he just had, 7 for 90.
Yep, and it's really great when one of Debo or Ayuk misses with him. That's the thing. It's like it's one of those two guys has to miss for Kittle to really have a great chance. That's what we've seen, at least with Brock Purdy, and the 7-8 games at McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo have all been healthy. It's been Kittle as the 4, but yeah, definitely nice to see him get into the box. And how about our guy Debo, man? What an incredible football player that guy is.
Yeah, he's back. Like, there's no doubt about it. It looks like the answer to Debo or Ayuk was yes.
Yes. Yeah. Get both.
Get them both.
Yeah. So that's a really good sign here for those two bros. Let's go to Indy and Baltimore. An upset here. Gardner Minshew and the boys taking down the Baltimore Ravens. I thought there was a kind of a specious no call on that final
Zay Flowers.
Yeah,
that was pretty iffy there. I mean, he got the arm around him, took him down. That was pretty shaky no call there for the Ravens.
I want to start with the Ravens, though. Lamar, this is a vintage Lamar rushing performance, guys. He hasn't had a 2-touchdown game on the ground since week 2 of 2021. He had just 3 rushing touchdowns since that point. Overall, he goes for over $100 and 2 scores in this game. But the passing offense for Baltimore, and again, we're 3 weeks into Todd Monken's tenure here, Graham, but the passing offense still very kind of dink and dunk. And how much do you think the weather had to do with that in this game?
Yeah, it definitely played a part. It was raining a little hard early in the game. My biggest question in this game is like, what's this Ravens run game going to look like? They lost Gus Edwards to a concussion too. And then, like you said, it turned into Lamar having to be the goal line back and the running back, which was great for fantasy. This past game, though, I mean, Odell Beckham's out. Rashad Bateman is behind Nelson Aguilar.
Oh, I think is he dinged up again? Like it looked like there was a hamstring issue again, but he wasn't on their post-game notes. I mean, it's looking like they missed on that pick, man.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And so we were so excited about this new 3-receiver set. And unfortunately, no shade to Nelson Aguilar. I think it's a solid player. It's just, it's kind of boring now between him and Flowers. I got to go back and rewatch this game. Honestly, I didn't get a chance to watch too much of their pass game. Obviously saw Lamar getting in the end zone, but this is like classic Ravens. I saw the end of the game, classic Ravens just kind of like hanging with a bad opponent and then end up losing. They do this once or twice every year.
Yeah, and I don't know what else to say. Like you said, Justice Hill had the toe injury. Kenyon Drake, there was a point in that game where the Ravens loved the Drake and then hated the Drake on the same play because he had a 24-yard reception that he fumbled at the end of, and he basically didn't really play after that. He had some snaps. Melvin Gordon became the lead back after Gus Edwards went out. So this run game, Tom, is something that we're certainly going to watch. I know you probably had to write up Melvin Gordon for the waiver wire. I'm sure that was exciting.
I'll say this. Don't go there this week. They got the Cleveland Browns. They're not going to run the ball. They're not going to have any success. Derrick Henry just went 11 for 20 against them. So don't go there in the waiver wire. You're much better off, going spending your fab on Chargers receivers or something else. Let's just avoid that backfield for this week at least.
I got 2 comments on the Indianapolis Colts. Zach Moss, start him. He's their bell cow back right now, and he looks pretty good. Michael Pittman, start him. He's had at least 11 targets and 8 catches in every game so far this year with both Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew. Tom, I wasn't really in on Pittman this offseason. I got him in one of our auction leagues. I was like, it was like $11. And then now I'm really excited I got him because he has become a massive target hound.
Yeah, just racking up double-digit targets every week here. That catch at the end of the game where the defender
lost the guy,
like literally ripping his helmet off. They didn't call that. It was just an unreal catch. And this passing game, if he gets Gardner Minshew for another game, that's not a terrible thing. He's able to funnel these guys targets and. But he's played pretty well with Anthony Richardson as well. So I think Anthony Richardson's injury, well, that's one thing we'll keep an eye on here this week. They have the Rams coming up. I'd like to get him back out in the field. He's been electric and QB1 whenever he's been healthy. So that could be a higher scoring game against the Rams this week. So we'll see. Usually these concussions, you miss a week and then you return in the second week. So hopefully Anthony Richardson is back out there in week 4.
Any interest in Josh Downs, Tom?
Not really. I mean, I wrote him up for the waiver wire, put him on there. I just don't see this being a very pass-heavy offense moving forward with Anthony Richardson. I think he's gonna be fine. He'll be a wide receiver 4 type. If you need to plug him in as when bye weeks really start to set in here in a couple of weeks, but. Probably a low-calorie PPR guy moving forward.
I don't see this offense sustaining 2 good receivers in fantasy. Like Pittman's the man. Moss has been great, but I don't see them getting a third guy in there.
I agree.
Let's go to the Browns and the Titans. I think the number 1 takeaway here is the Browns defense is for real.
Yep. Yep.
Like
sick.
They've given up nothing besides that busted coverage to Pickens. That's it. They busted that coverage on that long touchdown to Pickens 2 weeks ago, and that's it. That's really
3.2 yards per play allowed and 163 yards so far per game. So you're not moving the ball against them.
Nope.
2.1. Yeah, that's just a uniquely bad matchup for the Titans. And Tom, I know you and I were both clearly on the wrong side of that bet.
Oh.
I had the Titans plus the 3.5, and you know, when you get beat on a bet and it's the wrong side, you just live and you learn. Like that's the way I feel about this one. That was wrong side right from the beginning.
Yeah, that was always kind of the concern, that the offensive line would not be able to hold up against the Browns' defensive line, and it was very clear from the beginning here. Derrick Henry had no room to run, and he's got to have a little bit of a runway to get going to really get moving downhill, and there was no chance for that. 11 carries for 20 yards. He's been able to supplement his running game here a little bit with some targets in the first 2 weeks, but that didn't happen as well here. So just
because every time Ryan Tannehill dropped back, he was getting murdered. Myles Garrett had 3.5 sacks in this game. On the Browns side, first and foremost, Jerome Ford, it was a little teeth pulling there, but the Titans are a pass funnel defense. Jerome Ford got 2 touchdowns, 1 through the air, and I will say this, Graham. If Deshaun Watson didn't look good this week against this Titan pass funnel defense, it was time to sound every alarm imaginable. He came out and probably played his best game as Cleveland Brown.
He did. And that's exactly what Tom and I said on the Sunday show on Prime Points. We were saying, or Final Points, we were saying, listen, like if Watson can't get it done here, I think we got to be really concerned. And he got it done. I don't know if you guys saw, he had a boneheaded play. He was getting sacked. Elijah Moore was in the backfield and he like chucked it back to him. Elijah Moore probably shit his pants when the ball was coming his way. It was the one bad play Watson made. I don't want to like make, mountain out of a molehill. It was a really bad play, but he played fantastic. Amari Cooper, has the great game. Really, I don't have much from this game besides, what do you guys think of this Browns run game, right? Like Ford, 10 carries, 18 yards. Pierre Strong looks decent. They got Kareem Hunt in there. This might end up being a 3-way committee here.
Yeah, I also just think I don't want to overreact too much because it's the Titans and it's the run defense from hell. But like it was objectively hilarious. I looked up at one point during the first quarter and they had 7 different players with a carry, including Harrison Bryant, the tight end. So I'm like, oh boy, they're trying everything. Todd, what do you think of
his passing game usage? Has at least been promising here in the first 2 games. He has another receiving touchdown. He scores the receiving touchdown in the first game. I do worry
that's going to keep me in. That's going to keep me in too. But 56% snap rate in the first game, this might trend towards the other way.
Yeah, I wonder if it is going to be a 3-man backfield, or do they kind of phase Pierre Strong out? Does Hunt start to take away some of Strong's carries and his work? I still think this is a backfield we'll watch again this week. See if Pierre Strong's snaps go down and Hunt's go up, and Ford kind of stays in this 55 to 60.
The majority of,
because we've seen this in the past with Chubb when Chubb is healthy next to Kareem Hunt. It was kind of a 60-40 split in this backfield. So I wonder if we'll get back to that. And Strong gets phased out at some point.
Yeah, it was. And I will note, Pierre Strong, the majority of his carries came at the end of the game when it was like well in hand. He did get a carry early in the game, which is weird, but it looks like the majority of them came at the end of the game. So, yeah.
What do we think of Elijah Moore here? He had 9 targets. He's getting a lot of targets. He caught all of them for 49 yards. He also got 3 carries. He finally hit an over receiving yards prop. So thanks for that, Elijah. Dolan's been cleaning up on Prize Picks, by the way. I can't get away from a receiver with this kind of usage. I would just really, Tom, like to see him pop in a game.
Yeah, we just haven't really seen any of the any yak ability here so far. It's kind of weird how they were talking about how they were trying to get him out in space and create, and at least, I didn't get to watch this game too close because they weren't really showing it a whole lot on Red Zone channel after, once it got up to be a blowout. But, he was running a lot of comebacks and, stuff that wasn't really using his after the catch ability against the Steelers in week 2. So I'm at least a little bit surprised at some of his usage in the early going. I thought they would really try to get him kind of on the move and in some space a little bit more. And it's been a lot of just regular wide receiver targets out in the perimeter.
Let's go to Detroit and Atlanta. 20-6 Detroit. I think everybody on planet Earth except for Artie Smith knew Atlanta was a fraudulent 2-0. Detroit, Atlanta just could not move the ball at all. And this is a Detroit defense that got shredded by the Seahawks last week. 2.8 yards per play for the Falcons. I got bad news, guys. Kyle Pitts led this team with 9 targets, and he had 5 receptions for 41 yards, all of which led the Falcons. But the Falcons lost, Graham. So Artie Smith, he's playing that fantasy football. Well, you got to send Kyle Pitts back to the nether realm because clearly that offense did not work in this one.
Ooh, yeah, Ritter was really
terrible.
brutal. I mean, he was brutal, man. Held the ball for too long. And by the way, I mean, he took 7-8 sacks in this game. This is against a Lions front 7 that was missing like 3 of their key edge defenders, basically all of them besides Aiden Hutchinson. I don't know what else to say at this point, man. I mean, we've all seen Desmond Ritter at this point. We've got a long enough sample. He's not going to be a player that we're going to be, relying on to provide production for Kyle Pitts and Drake London this season. I mean, 9 targets for Pitts, 6 targets for London, and both of them are unusable for fantasy. I mean,
this is the script for defenses moving forward too. If you cut off the head of the Atlanta's running attack here, I mean, they just could not get anything going with Bijan and Tyler Algier. You forced the game into Desmond Ritter's hands, and this was the result. So Detroit's run defense has been really strong since like the end of the second half of last season and through the early part of this year. So I'm not going to panic if I'm a Bijan or Algier owner here just yet, but this was kind of the worry with the Falcons offense. If they can't get their running game going, Ritter is not good enough to sustain much offense.
Would have loved to see more than 2 targets for Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing game, but he did well on the ground, 17 for 80. I think you just kind of just got to keep sucking it up and starting Jahmyr Gibbs right now. The crazy legs Goff runs in a touchdown in this one. And the takeaway here for the Lions, Sam Laporta, start him. Where else are we getting? You're not getting this from Mark Andrews right now. You're not getting this from Kyle Pitts right now. You're not getting this from George Kittle right now. Like, what do you got to see more on Sam Laporta? I wish I had more of him. Tom, you have to start him.
Yeah, he's a clear start. I think he's like the tight end too right now, essentially. I saw it last night that I believe he's tight end too through 3 weeks of the season. We don't come to expect this from rookies very often. The rookie tight ends usually struggle to really put up productions in their first year, but he's a big part of this offense. Josh Reynolds was MIA. Did he get hurt or just 77?
Wasn't a part of the game plan. Just was not a part of the game plan. I mean, it was all Amon-Ra, Laporta, and Raymond.
In the middle of the field. Yep.
I mean, I think it was from Ben Johnson. It was just like, let's run the ball and let's throw it to our good players because this team's not going to be able to score on us, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. I mean, so Laporta moving forward, I mean, let's no more fantasy questions on it. Start sit questions on him unless you got like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews because Laporta's a must start at this point.
The Saints and the Packers take this one 18-17 all in the fourth quarter. The Saints were up 17-0 at halftime, and then all in the fourth quarter, Jordan Love leads 3 scoring drives following the injury to Derek Carr. And Graham, let's start there. Derek Carr, they said shoulder injury. Then Ian Rappaport reported that they were taking him to the hospital to check for internal injuries, which to me suggested they were worried about maybe some ribs. Yep. But they got good news, but it looks like he's going to miss a couple of weeks. Do we care? I mean, Jameis was 10-16 for 101 yards. They didn't score with Jameis in the game, but Chris Olave had half his production with Jameis, and he was getting the ball to Michael Thomas. And Rashid Shaheed got goose-egged in the passing game, did return a punt for a touchdown. What do we think here about the Saints offense, Graham, with Jameis? Is it just kind of operate as usual?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Jameis is for like real life football, it's a downgrade. He's going to take more sacks. He's going to throw more picks. But for fantasy, it's honestly maybe an upgrade because like Jameis will be aggressive. He's going to throw downfield. He's going to be able to hit Olave. He's going to be able to, hit Shaheed when they need to. And that game obviously was weird. The Saints got ahead. Packers kind of looked dead until the fourth quarter. Saints really didn't have to throw too much in that game. I mean, I think Winston for fantasy might be an upgrade. It might be kind of like the Andy Dalton corollary where it's like, okay, he can run the offense fine. And he's also, maybe a little better. So we'll see. I got to speak up this backfield real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Alvin
that's the
Kamara's
other
back
big
next
thing.
week.
Yeah, they get Kamara back, and they got no running game right now, Graham.
Yeah,
No
they have
running
no run game. Kendre Miller was struggling. Packers, I think, are a middling run defense at best. Tony Jones stinks. I mean, they're still trying to use Taysom Hill. Yeah, I think Alvin Kamara's had a really good run out here. I mean, it seems great. Jamal Williams is on IR. They put him on IR, guys. I mean, it's a bad hamstring.
Yeah, it was a bad hamstring. Our poor boy Juwan Johnson. Oh, Foster Moreau sits out. You think this
Jimmy
would be
Graham?
Jimmy Graham
rolls back.
Got the revenge game touchdown. He fakes the leap into the stands. So I think the Juwan Johnson dream is dead for now in this passing game. Yeah. Unfortunately,
I think, guys, I have an observation from this game.
What's that?
And it's pretty critical for the future of the Green Bay Packers. I think Jordan Love's got that dog in him.
Yeah, I know. I do too. I know. I think 22 of 44. The stat line doesn't look like overly impressive, but he's also been playing the last couple of weeks without Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. He's really been handcuffed. I mean, we're throwing balls to D Wicks and S Torre and M Heath. I mean, some of these guys.
It's a preseason. It's a preseason offense.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, right. So, he didn't have his two best players, and he's out here doing this. This is why I don't want to hear Justin Fields.
He did miss some throws. He missed a wide ass open.
And then you get the Dobbs throw to the back shoulder for the game-winning score, and that's kind of.
I mean,
how many times did we see Aaron Rodgers do that throw?
Well, I was about to say, if you were to put a black box over the quarterback on that play, you could easily convince yourself it was Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah. We saw that dozens of times from Aaron Rodgers.
Look, Packers medical staff is always conservative, so hopefully Christian Watson is back this week. But I'm in on Watson. Man. I love it. These two are going to hit some unbelievable highlight reel throws down the field.
I think we'll see Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. They play on Thursday night against the Lions. I think this was one of those where they're like, that game is worth a little bit more than the Saints game in week 3. So
that's a great point.
Let's get these guys fully healthy. We don't want them coming back off a short week. Nursing hamstrings. So we'll see. I mean, I'm no medical expert, but I do think that we probably see those guys return for a big matchup against the Lions this week.
Let's go to Houston and Jacksonville. Oh, boy, 37-17. Houston averages 6.5 yards per play. They still can't really run the ball.
We had a fullback returning a kick return for a touchdown.
Beck.
Such a weird game.
All right, Graham. Yeah. What are your observations here?
I mean, Lawrence has been bad the last 2 weeks. He's missing throws. He was late last week. I haven't got a chance to rewatch the game, but I mean, he's just not playing well. I don't know if it's not seeing it well. This offense is very first read driven. Peterson does such a good job scheming guys open. Again, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch, but watching yesterday, it just seems Lawrence is just a beat off. Jaguars secondary is terrible. I mean, their run defense, I think they're kind of looking like a pass funnel team too. I mean, honestly, their run defense has been playing really, really good. Texans obviously have struggled, with the run all year, but I did want to note that real quick. Travis Etienne, can we get him some freaking touchdowns? He's got the Tony Pollard effect going on right now. Incredible workload, but no touchdowns. Tank Bigsby vultures him again.
When I saw Bigsby in the game there, Paul Kelly and I we were like, and with Bigsby in there after Etienne gets him all the way down the field, 138 yards from scrimmage for Etienne, who is a bell cow of bell cows right now, with the exception of the goal line roll. Come on.
I think it's been the last 2 weeks. It's the same thing with him and Tony Pollard. They'll drag their teams down the field and then they're exhausted and they get pulled at the goal line. I mean, let's
put Rico Dowdle in the game, come on, guys. The Texans, I mean, T-Bro, this is a team that has to throw it because they can't run it. And CJ Stroud, I really thought coming out, I thought he was a Jared Goff type. I thought it was give him a clean pocket. He'll work through his progressions. He'll deliver the ball. But I give him a muddy pocket, he's going to look terrible.
Dude,
he's been way better than I thought in that regard because he is under pressure. And I think Tank Dell is real. I think that there's a real connection here. He plays bigger than his size, and he is explosive as all hell. We picked him up and started him in an FFPC league, and I am glad we did.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like the real. I mean, he looked like the real deal back in the preseason. New coaching staff here. It's kind of weird. They're like trying to make him earn it early in the season, playing Noah Brown over him. Brown goes on IR, and Tank has been released here the last couple of weeks. So long touchdown pass here. Just absolutely smashing. He's at the top of the waiver wire again. He was like our top guy. He was our cover boy last week. Please go out and get him. Robert Woods it's probably just a matter of time before he breaks down. He's a 30-plus-year-old receiver. Nico Collins has been having a good season to start the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he runs into a lot of the tougher matchups. So, just pick up Tank Dell, and he's a startable guy right now.
He thought, our guy Chris Weck thought the Jags would shadow Nico Collins with Tyson Campbell. I'm wondering if that was the case in this game, and Stroud just took the better matchup and just had Tank Dell running free. By the way, guys, I would have to posit. I can't be 100% sure of this. I'm going to guess that this is the first game in NFL history where two guys named Tank scored in the same game.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, you're right. We got Tank Wars.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, there we go. A couple tanks.
Oh, speaking of Tank, the Dolphins beat the Broncos 70-20.
Gosh.
Now we'll talk about the Dolphins offense deserves so much credit, and it's fun to watch and all that. I have never in my life seen a defense just out and out quit like that. And
they got blown up, dude.
This was the unit that was supposed to keep the Broncos in games, right? This was, we get Sean Payton here, and you're going to get competent quarterback play from Russell Wilson, which, by the way, I think they've kind of gotten.
Yeah.
He's not Seattle Russ by any stretch, but I can't sit here and tell you the team gives up 70 points and Russell Wilson's the reason they lost the game. This was supposed to be the unit that kept the Broncos in games so they could win when they score 20 points the way they couldn't do last year. And look, Miami's got the most explosive offense in the NFL. Okay, we know that. We saw what happened in week 1 against the Chargers. But the Patriots, made them look like an NFL offense. This Broncos defense is so... I know it's 3 games into the Sean Payton tenure, Tom. I don't know how Vance Joseph has a job this morning. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, this is... I mean, I knew it was pretty bad. I mean, Sam Howell was... they were going up and down the field in that game in week 2.
They gave up a 3-score lead to Sam Howell.
Exactly. That's what I knew. It could be potentially bad here, and then...
By the way, they gave up that 3-score lead against the Commanders in basically half of football. I think Howell scored in the 2-minute drill. I mean, it was it. That was it.
Kick a participation trophy field goal just to score against the Bills. Yeah. Think of this. This is, who did the Broncos? Oh my God.
No, it's the
Just wait till you see who they play. Yep.
Oh my!
They're favored on the road right now. That's how bad it. Oh man.
I actually am excited to watch that game.
Oh my God.
It's so bad. I don't know what's going to happen. And let's go to the Dolphins. I'm cracking up because I knew half of my Fantasy Points admin emails this morning were going to be new comments on Scott's Devon Achane, which is just getting absolutely roasted over here. Hey, thanks for the engagement, guys. Devon Achane, I mean, he was available in 60% of Yahoo leagues. I know most people are gonna be like, he wasn't available in my league. Yeah, because you're in a competitive league, but we do this for everybody. Start him. I mean, how can you not start a guy after he put up the 33rd best fantasy game of all time?
Yeah,
basically was his first game.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I mean, he's been 3rd string preseason guy. They were very hesitant to give him much of a role, and then he goes out and does this in his essentially his first NFL game. So, he's as you said, Joe, Yahoo leagues, so he should be picked up. I'll be curious to see how they rotate this backfield moving forward. I still think Raheem Mostert is going to be the guy that sees the majority of the snaps for now. We're going to get Jeff Wilson back in the mix probably starting in week 5. But the genie is out of the bottle with A-Chain here. I mean, they have to figure out a way to get him 10 to 12 touches a week. And as we saw this week, he does, he a little bit of work and he can do a lot. He just has that game-breaking kind of speed.
This might be the first time in history that we've had a player score 4 touchdowns and we put him on the watch list, because I put Raheem Mostert on the watch list. It's like Jeff Wilson's back in week 5. Devin A-Chain looks great.
Yeah.
And
Mostert has an injury history.
Yeah, he's been great, but man, I mean, he could get significant role reduction here soon. By the way, speaking of how toasty this Broncos defense is, at the end of the game, Robbie Chosen absolutely burnt Pat Surtain to a crisp. I mean, it's man.
I cannot believe it. It's just disgusting.
It's really bad.
By the way, they ran Mike McDaniel ran that inside right-handed shovel pass.
I think 4 times.
Yeah. He scored twice with it with A-Chain. I looked up at the television watching the game. I thought they were replaying the play from earlier.
Nah. They called that to Mostert too, and he didn't score on his. They called it at least 3 times.
And the Broncos are just like, Look, they're taunting you, dude. Like they're having their quarterback throw it with his offhand. By design, and you're giving this up multiple times. Like, I mean, great job by Mike McDaniel. Absolutely embarrassing.
Hey, it's working. Keep using it.
Yeah.
I mean, Tua is now our MVP favorite now. 4 touchdowns again this week. Big game against the Bills this week. Looking forward to that one.
Really
after
good
all the crap we got this weekend.
That's gonna be a great game.
A lot of crap. I'm looking forward to Dolphins and Bills next week, and I'm also looking forward to Bears and Broncos for different reasons.
Oh yes, for the complete opposite reasons, but it will be entertaining.
That game total is like 47.5 or something. That's gonna be a high scoring game. Chargers
28, Vikings 24. Just don't play Josh Kelly. I mean, don't do it. They can't. Austin Eckler matters, guys, because Josh Kelly cannot gain yardage. This is a Viking defense that got shredded by DeAndre Swift, but I don't blame the Chargers for not running it because Keenan Allen went for 215 in this game. But Graham, the big news is Mike Williams could have a significant knee injury here.
Yeah, it seems significant. Poor one now, man. Mike Williams has always been a player I've been higher on than most. It just every time he gets on the field, he's productive, but terrible injury history. Now it seems like he's going to have a significant knee injury. His tenure with the team, unfortunately, might be up. Quentin Johnston will get a big increase in snaps, but I think in the short term, guys, Josh Palmer will probably be the full-time guy until Johnston's ready. Johnston has been the wide receiver 4 for the entirety of the season to start. He's going to get a big roll bump, but I mean,
this is why they drafted him, right? Because Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have significant injury history.
Yeah, and they knew that they would probably be gone. At least one of them would be gone after this season. But yeah, this is we'll discuss this more on the Waiver Wire podcast tomorrow, Joe. But this is like the dilemma of the week. Do you go for the short term, potential gains with Josh Palmer, or do you try to look and project down into the future and get Johnston for the November-December run? Because it's been slow out of the gates here. Even with the injury, he was at a 24% snap share yesterday. So they're clearly hesitant to really put too much on his plate. We could see more 2 tight ends usage here in the short term, but you got to decide what you're playing for. You going for the short term here with Josh Palmer or swinging for the fences later in the season with Quentin Johnston?
Over on the Vikings side, Alexander Madison.
We should mention that Keenan Allen had a pretty good game too in this.
Oh yeah, I did mention that. I mean, just like what else are you going to say? Like, I mean, he's to the moon right now. Like, I mean, he had 20 targets, and Mike Williams is hurt, and Justin
he was already to the moon with his usage in that season.
And he threw a touchdown.
Yeah, he even had the touchdown pass.
I might lose a matchup in which I had Keenan Allen. By the way, that's fun.
Did you go against A-Chain?
No, I went against Lamar. Amari Cooper, Laporte. I go against freaking Laporte.
You got Laporte
22 on me. Amon-Ra, just Jerome Ford.
You got porta-pottied.
Yeah, I'm down 32, and I have DeAndre Swift and Puka tonight. So I'm hoping
you got a chance.
Yeah, I'm
you're
hoping to pull
alive.
that out.
Yeah, Puka will put up his 12 catches again tonight.
Yeah, but Minnesota's the same team every week. They get the ball to their good players and they lose.
It's the most backbreaking ways too. I mean,
Yeah.
that I don't know if you guys saw the end of the game. That clock
Oh,
management at the end of the game was brutal.
What are you doing? Like, so I didn't see Kevin O'Connell's comments after the game. But my presumption was going to be, well, we wanted to take 4 cracks at the end zone. Well, you're not going to get 4 cracks at the end zone. It took you 30 seconds to get set. There were 13 seconds left when you snapped that football. Like, what a
it ended up not mattering, but man, both of these teams are so unbelievably poorly coached. I mean, they've got great players, but they've got.
I know the ball was intercepted, but would the play have been that sloppy if they actually spiked the ball and took their time to call and get set for a good play?
Probably not.
Like,
no,
that was a disaster.
I mean, Cousins again. He's going to get the blame, but he's playing so well. This is the best Kirk Cousins has ever played.
Yeah,
he's got the best weapons he's ever had. There's obviously some correlation there, but I mean, man, he is dealing out there.
The Vikings tank it and trade Kirky.
Well, I think they got to try here for another couple weeks.
Yeah.
This NFC North, I don't think, and the NFC overall, outside of the 49ers, I mean, we'll get to the Cowboys here in a little bit, but it's wide open. So I think you still got to keep going here for at least the next couple of weeks and find out. But are we feeling any better about Alexander Madison? I think that's one of the bigger questions. Slightly, but he had that borderline fumble that was ruled forward progress, and he dropped a couple of passes. But I'll give him credit for. I mean, he had 125 yards from scrimmage and 27 opportunities. If you drafted Madison, that's why you drafted him.
Exactly. I threw him on the watch list. With Akers coming in, I think he did enough to hold him off for a couple weeks. But still have.
I think you have to start him next week. I mean, and by the way, there's a significant chance that Cam Akers just stinks. So
that's very true.
The saving grace, and Tom and I were talking about this yesterday. The saving grace is Madison will play in the pass game. He had a bad drop yesterday again, but Akers has been just a zero in the pass game.
Absolute zero. Yep.
The Patriots and the Jets. I mean, this
game.
Oof. How much
American Pharaoh is finally the one. Pharaoh Brown has won the Triple Crown. Pharaoh Brown has a 58-yard touchdown reception in this game.
And that was about it.
The other touchdown was from Bowden, the fullback. So, you were sick of this game already, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
We get 2 touchdowns from these 2 guys.
The Jets cannot seriously say Zach Wilson's going to be our quarterback. I know they said it. They can't believe it. They cannot believe it.
I think they have nothing else they can say. They have to try to project confidence in this guy. But he's not an NFL. He's not even an NFL backup at this point. He should not be starting games.
John put Garrett Wilson on the trade article. After week 1 to trade him.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know if I agree with that, John. Like, you're selling low. And I was like, well, John might have been right.
Yeah, we're digging lower here. The more starts we get from Zach Wilson.
The Patriots are gearing, just stop the run. Like, Bill Belichick was clearly like, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook are not beating us.
No.
And if Zach Wilson makes a throw, so be it. And he didn't.
It's just going to be the game plan for everybody moving forward. I
don't know what else to say.
I don't know what to do with Breece. You just got to bench him for now, and hopefully,
and hope they sign freaking Carson Wentz. So people are like, I said, you would feel so much better. Yeah, Wentz will throw a few bad picks, but at least he'll throw for 250 while he does it, right? Like,
the ball will move downfield a little bit.
The ball will move downfield before the turnovers.
Exactly.
I mean, they've got to do something here, man. This is just not 10. How do you not just completely lose this team right now? Like,
I don't know what their other solution is, though. I mean, I really don't. And they're just in a horrible, horrible spot. I mean, it's like the basement level of purgatory. You got the purgatory level, and then they're in the basement level right now. I mean, it's just sad, man. As for the run game, I mean, it's not just that Bill sold out to stop it. Their offensive line is awful. I mean, Dwayne Brown missed this game, but they're not getting any push. They really struggle in pass protection. I mean, this is not a good offensive line still.
Yeah, I think they put Dwayne Brown on IR too, didn't they? Did I see that over the weekend?
Oh, maybe they did.
They may have placed him on IR, so things might be getting worse for them.
This is just completely unraveling right in front
I
of our
will
eyes.
say,
Yep, he's on IR. Yep.
Well, there you go. I will say, if you want to just hold on to like a little bit of hope for Brees, he got a big spike in snaps, 50% this week, up from 33%. That's the one thing.
You know, Hackett's waiting to jump in there and just
God.
screw it all up here. Get back down to a 25% snap share.
I know. I think that'll be the move. They're gonna fire Hackett and give play calling to Downing. Todd Downing's on their team, who's also not a great play caller.
But that makes me feel a lot better if I'm a Jets
fan, too. Yeah, but it's better.
It's
better than Hackett. It's better than Hackett, who's a child. So,
let's go to the Bills and the Commanders. Jahan Dotson was getting a lot of late in the process hype, and I was like, man, I don't have enough Jahan Dotson. Turns out I had enough Jahan Dotson because Sam Howell. Really bad football game.
Welcome back down to earth, buddy.
Yeah, you're not playing the Broncos and the Cardinals anymore.
I don't feel great about anybody on this Commanders offense, with maybe the exception of Brian Robinson, but he doesn't get a target in this game.
I think he had a reception that was called.
It was a long one. It was called back.
Unfortunately,
Antonio Gibson fumbled again. So
he's dead.
They're still trying with him for some reason, but it ain't working. And he was at a 61% snap share this week because they were in a
playing from behind,
very negative game script. But I mean, he's a liability every time he's out in the field.
Yeah, and the spot this coming week they play the Eagles. I mean, they're gonna struggle again here.
Yeah, they're not gonna run the ball very well in that game. But and let's go to Buffalo. I mean, 37 points, you're like, oh yeah, Buffalo, 37 points. They must have gone nuts for fantasy. Well, really, because the Commanders turned it over so much, there's some short fields. James Cook is awesome, but he is legally barred from scoring a touchdown, guys.
Yeah, it's in his contract.
He's got a shot collar every time they get inside the box. Shocks him off the field.
Get him off the field.
I saw he busted that long run to get them down inside the 5-yard line late in that game, and then they gave him the ball. They gave him the ball once at the 3. He got them down to the 1, and then freaking Latavius Murray came in.
Yeah.
They're not even giving Damian Harris these carries. They're giving him the freaking Latavius Murray.
That's going to be the story of his season, guys. He looks so good. I think he's a top 10 talent. Like, for his role and the way he's performing in his role, he's a special player. Really, really good player. And he's been everything the Bills have been missing in their run game. Somebody who's creative, somebody who can make explosive plays, and who can play on pass downs. But this is going to be the story of his season, man. I mean, really, it sucks, but he's going to be a great season-long RB2 and a DFS fade every week, because the touchdown equity is just not there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, I'm not sitting him in my season-long leagues.
No, he's a great RB2 right now. If you drafted him in the 7th round, you are thrilled with him as your RB2.
And this is a weird game for the Bills. Josh Allen threw a pick, but it was like the least consequential interception of all time. It was 3rd.
Oh yeah, that was the definition of an arm punt. He's like, I'll just chuck it down the field to Gabe, see if he can come up with it.
And if not, if it's picked, oh well.
Interference or
it was completely the right throw. I was like, Paul. I said to Paul on the show, I was like, I think the Bills coaches know what Josh Allen is at this point, but I'd be like, dude, that was a great play. You threw the ball that 50 yards down the field. Maybe we get a PI. Maybe we get a big play. You threw a pick and it was a punt. So good play. He only threw 32 passes. 12 of them were targeted to Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis catches 1. Of course, it's a 35-yard touchdown. So
hey, that counts.
Yeah, Gabe Davis catches 1 pass and he goes over 10 PPR points. So like that. It was just a weird game. The Bills didn't really have to do anything offensively because Sam Howell was very content on handing them the football game.
Yep. They gladly took those short fields, took advantage of them, and got the hell out of town. So, this is, and just the tight end stuff here. It's basically a 50-50 split. Knox was banged up coming into the game, but Kincaid didn't really see the boost that maybe we thought he might get if Knox was a little banged up coming into the game. So
yeah, both of these guys are just going to eat into each other all year.
It's none of them are going to emerge as tight end one types.
How about this game? I don't think a whole lot of people were focused too much on this one, Seattle and Carolina, because people were watching Dallas and the Bears both melt down on national television. But Seattle puts 37 on the Panthers. Ken Walker goes absolutely ham in this game with 156 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns. Good for that. How about Andy Dalton out there? 34, 50. Yeah, 2 touchdowns. Adam Thielen goes for 145. And I'll tell you one thing, Tom. I'm sure he's on the article. DJ Chark gives these Panthers something they need. They need speed. And he comes out and he goes 4 for 86 and a touchdown. That's a guy I'm okay having on the end of my bench in the event I need to play a wide receiver 3 here in the coming weeks.
Jonathan Mingo had a concussion as well in the game. And we'll see if Dalton play. Yeah, I feel a lot better about Chark if Dalton's in the lineup. I feel, better in general about this offense if he's involved again. So Chark could be a guy you pick up and plug into your lineup this week. They got the Vikings. Should be a higher scoring affair, and feel a little bit better if Mingo's out again this week and Dalton has to play. So I'm feeling, holy crap, man. Is this really going to be a thing? Quiet week 1, but even with Bryce Young last week, I mean, just getting targets.
Seattle's defense is broken. This is a secondary that is not one that we're afraid of at all anymore. I mean,
I think Tariq Woolen's banged up as well.
Yeah, Tariq Woolen missed this game.
Yep.
It's not just that. I mean, it's not just that though. I mean, just like defensively, they are not the same unit anymore. Thielen was getting open in the short and intermediate areas, but I watched a lot of this game. I mean, they were just blowing holes in him. I mean, he was just getting open over the middle. They got Chark open over the middle. Dalton just missed Chark on it. I mean, Chark could have had 150 yards in this game. Dalton looked great, man. He looked great at the line of scrimmage too, poised, in command, getting him in the right plays. Like,
can we get him to the Jets?
That might be the one option is Dalton. Seriously,
that's spicy. I kind of like that. Nobody's really talked about that one. He's at least competent. He could manage a game for them.
Veteran presence. He'd pick up the playbook quick, probably. I mean,
and the Panthers traded a lot of picks to get Bryce Young, so they probably would like to recoup something. Hey,
exactly.
They could definitely get some out of Dalton. Yeah.
Miles Sanders stinks, but. If he's going to get 9 targets, I'm going to be happy to start him.
I think Sanders has looked pretty good. I thought he's kind of looked like himself. I mean, he's looked okay. I mean, their run blocking is not great, but you look across the NFL, the state of the NFL run blocking is not good. Yeah. So he got 9 targets in this game. I mean, everybody was like, oh yeah, the Panthers signed Miles Sanders all this money, and they're saying they're gonna use him in this 3-down role, but I don't believe him. I think we kind of believe him.
It's been
he's
slow
not a
with
great
Bryce
passing
Young,
down player, but
he's still getting weekly catches, and finally with an NFL quarterback here in Andy Dalton, he actually picked up some yardage in the passing game as well. So, Chuba's been kind of infringing on him through the first 2 weeks, but not really this week. Pretty nice snap share, 60. I think it was at 65%. So Sanders' role is pretty healthy here. We just got to hope that they actually score multiple touchdowns moving forward.
Yeah. We need them to get in the red zone here.
Yep.
Did you guys hear my dog having conniption in the background there?
I did not.
Yeah. They've been going crazy. They've been going in and out the whole show.
Anyway, let's move on to Dallas and Arizona. And speaking of guys who I'd feel better about if they were on the Jets, Josh Dobbs. Like, this guy can play a little bit, man. He's out there. He's got some dog in him. And maybe Dallas's defense isn't the 85 Bears. I know they lost Trevon Diggs, but Trevon Diggs isn't going to help you not give up 222 yards on the ground. I mean, that was an embarrassing performance for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't know how you let Dobbs run for 55 yards. I mean, James Conner just sledgehammering him over and over again.
That was the surprise.
Yeah, it wasn't like they carved him up really through the passing game, which you might have expected with Diggs being out, but they don't really have the receivers to really take advantage of them. Wilson gets loose for, it was kind of a blown coverage or something happened there that he was wide open.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what really happened here for the Cowboys. They really struggled down in the red zone, though. That was the story of the game for them on the offensive side of the ball, that they just could not punch in touchdowns here. And of course, they had the interception late in the game that kind of sealed their fate when they were down 2 scores in the final 4 minutes of the game there.
Yeah, Dallas moved the ball really well in this game. They had 34 minutes time of possession. I mean, moved it well, 416 total yards. But like you mentioned, every single time they got inside like the 30 or 25, they struggled. They also had 13 penalties in this game. Just a gross game from Dallas.
Arizona had 8, so like they're throwing the flags like crazy in this one.
Yeah, I mean it was not a well coached or well game planned game from Dallas. But once again, guys, Tony Pollard, the workload is insane. Can we please have one drive where Pollard drags him down the field and he's got enough gas left in the tank to cash a touchdown in? Please,
you gotta give it
Rico
and Rico Dowdle and
Uncle Rico Dowdle.
Uncle Rico.
The thing about Dallas is just like, now all of a sudden this kind of just looked like the same Dallas team from last year. Good defense, but not otherworldly, and the offense can struggle any week. Like, they've now had 2 games out of 3 where their offense is not, I mean, they didn't have to do anything in week 1, but like, I don't know. This is probably a recalibration game. Tom, did you have Dallas at the top of your power ratings?
49ers, but they were up there. I mean, those first 2 performances where you beat your opponents by 60 points, you got to move them up, quite high on the list. But this is, I mean, literally, this was like the number 2 or number 3 team on everybody's power ratings, going against Arizona Cardinals, who were in last place. But I think got to kind of reconsider what we're thinking about these Cardinals. They've been, they've hung tough in all 3 games, and they get a win against a good Cowboys team at the end of the day. So the Cardinals are not the worst team in the NFL right now.
Well, might I offer a candidate?
Yeah, let's. I think there might be one coming up here.
The Chicago Bears, 41-10. Taylor Swift is stunting on them in this game. The entire Bears organization is rotten. Justin Fields is not an NFL quarterback. I mean, everybody's. I see all this the Bears ruined Justin Fields and blah blah blah, and I was like, there's probably part of it, but you know what the simplest answer is? The guy's not good and he never was. Like Justin Fields has never been a good NFL quarterback, dating back to his first year in the league. Like that, this is what it is. He comes out, he runs 11 times. Guys, you can't start him for fantasy. He's not a startable player right now.
Yeah, well, this was the thing. It's like, okay, we knew what they were going to do, right? We knew they'd come out and they'd run it more. We expected Fields to throw it 22 to 25 times. He did, and it was still a piece of shit offense. I mean, I don't know what else to do. I mean, Fields, I will say Fields did not get much help. He dropped a ball in the bucket to DJ Moore at the end of that first half, and Moore dropped it.
And then he threw an interception on the very next.
Then he threw an interception. I think 2 plays later. It's like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's Murphy's law with this offense right now. I'll say I think Fields can be an NFL quarterback. I just think he's at a point now where he's broken. The physical talent is there with him.
He's got to go somewhere where he's
the processing is not.
No, that's. There. I mean, he essentially said it last week. I'm thinking too much out there. It's like, well, I mean, you're an NFL quarterback. You got to be thinking a lot out there, and that's kind of his problem right now. He's always been kind of an instinct and traits guy, even dating back to his time at Ohio State, and the big arm and able to run. But there's more to it in the NFL, and he's I obviously there's a lot of issues going on in Chicago, but I still think Fields is the main issue going on with this offense.
Real quick for fantasy here, guys. I mean, this backfield's a split at this point, and it's an awful
and it's
team.
A bad offense. Yeah.
At least it's a split. It's not a 3-way backfield anymore. But I mean, I still think Roschon Johnson's the guy to bet on here. Didn't Herbert have a drop or a fumble?
He had a fumble. Game? He lost a fumble.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I at this point, like, if you want any of these shares at running back to come through, they need to bench Justin Fields. I mean, let's just call it like it is.
I don't know what they have. They have that D2
Tyson Bagent.
Is that the kid from Shepherd or?
Yep. Who
West
played
Virginia
really well
Skull?
in the preseason? Yeah, he played really well in the preseason. This Chiefs offense, by the way, is the exact same offense it was last year. It's Travis Kelce,
but even more frustrating.
Yeah.
But I mean, guys, we've all been
amplified.
playing. We've all been playing fantasy for 15 plus years at this point. Hey, can you guys ever remember an offense with a quarterback this freaking good and there are no good receivers? It's Kelce and that's it. I can't remember one.
Every week I do the waiver wire and I get to this, the Chiefs game on Sunday night. I'm like, what the hell do I do with this box score?
Yeah,
Rashee Rice, I will say Rashee Rice should have had at least one touchdown.
He got tackled short of the goal line twice, and Sky Moore had 6 targets. It's just one of those things where, like, if you have to plug one of these guys in, it's a completely defensible move. The most likely outcome is you're going to get 6 fantasy points from them. But if they find their way into the end zone, great. And I mean, and at running back, Jerick McKinnon,
the same thing.
He needs to be rostered in every league just for the same reason, right? You plug him in and he gets these 2 little pop passes for the touchdown. Like that. Like he got 5 touches, but they were high value touches. Like it's such a you never.
And he had that role late last season. He was on that like tight end, touchdown spree at the end of last year. So he does get those snaps down when they want to spread it out a little bit more at the goal line.
Keep an eye on Mahomes, by the way. Obviously with the ankle, he did play in the second half, the first drive, and then they put Gabbert throws 2 picks. I think
he'll be good.
Gabbert,
but
Blaine Gabbert.
Probably...
he'll be fine.
I think maybe
Gabbert on an NFL field again. Oh my
god. We've got
real
Isaiah
quick,
Pacheco's looking better, by the way, and he had 3 targets, which I think is really important for Pacheco.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. And I wanted to note though, 42% snap share. I mean, it's like they're going to rotate these backs. They're going to rotate the receivers.
Edwards-Helaire gets 15 carries.
I know, man. I know. And I will say for real quick, Marquez Valdes-Scantling finally got a little bit of a role decrease, 53% snaps. Rashee Rice, I think, is going to take his role. That's what it's trending towards.
Did Sky Moore lead their receivers in snaps?
Yeah, at 62%.
Like,
I mean, this was a weird game too with the game script, so I wouldn't want to look too much into the snaps this week.
When we get the data,
we can look at like the first 3 quarter snaps.
Yeah. Let's go to the Sunday night game, the Steelers and the Raiders. And I will say this: if you're a Steeler fan, Tom, and you are, this appears to at least be some validation that they might have gone against the 2 best defenses in football in the first 2 weeks of the season, and against just a normal NFL defense. Kenny Pickett actually was out there and he made a couple of plays. Like I thought the play, of course, Jaylen Warren with the huge stoning of Max Crosby on that play led to the Calvin Austin touchdown. But Kenny Pickett, Tom, I thought came out here and played the game he absolutely needed to play to get some confidence back in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this was essentially what every Steelers fan was saying leading up to this game, that like, okay, this is really the first test. I mean, those were 2 really tough defenses they faced in the first 2 weeks. If it looks bad again this week, then there might not be much hope for this offense. I still think it's very much a work in progress here. Yeah. He threw a Marcus Peters a pick 6. Should have been a pick 6 early in that game. He threw another one towards Marcus Peters to Allen Robinson that could have been another pick if Allen Robinson didn't do a good job of boxing him out away from the ball. So certainly more good than bad compared to the first 2 weeks, but it's still a little shaky here. I'm glad we got Pat Freiermuth finally involved in this offense. It was kind of shaky the first 2 weeks. Tough matchup against the 49ers, obviously, and but getting him unlocked, and that helps unlock the middle of the defense. That's probably what I'm most optimistic about. We're also getting George Pickens on the move, catching passes in the middle of the field, which was not a thing that existed last season. Of course, he had the long touchdown against the Browns, that was on a post pattern as well. So they're finally unlocking him in different parts of the field. So that's only going to help the offense.
Yeah, Calvin Austin's a thing, by the way. Like,
He can
6
move.
targets in this game. He can really fly. I mean, I like having him on benches. I mean, I don't know how much that's going to last when Deontay Johnson comes back, but yeah, I was glad to see this from the Steelers. The Najee Warren split is still a thing. Warren's explosive in the passing game, but they're doing the same thing in the running game. I don't think Najee Harris is a bad running back. Like the way people talk about him, they're like, oh, he stinks and all that. Both of these guys should be rostered right now. And unfortunately for Najee, Jaylen Warren's the guy who's getting it done in the passing game. So he's a usable flex to me in a good matchup.
Yeah. Najee's still a good player, man. And he's lost a step. The burst is not there. I mean, I've been watching Najee for 5 years now. He has noticeably lost a step from his college days. But that being said, he's still a fine player. Their offensive line, again, I mean, how many carries do you see last night where Najee had a defender in the backfield before he could even get across the line of scrimmage? So
a lot of that stuff last night was play calling stuff too. They were sending extra blitzers, and Marcus Peters was coming off the edge. So I thought they run blocked a little bit better yesterday, but it was the lack of creativity was leading to some of those early hits in the backfield as well.
And the good news for Steelers, the next 4 weeks, man, schedule looks
they have to take advantage of the schedule.
This
Texans,
is hysterical.
Ravens, they get the Rams in there and then the Jags. Like, that's not bad. Yeah,
we're gonna
find out a lot about this team.
They're going to be a team that's among the most criticized teams in the entire NFL, and they're going to be 3-1 at the end of next week.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. CJ Stroud might pick them apart next week.
Yeah. On the Raiders side, I mean, look, Jimmy Garoppolo. I did a prize picks parlay for this game. I had Calvin Austin over the 26.5 receiving yards, which was no sweat whatsoever. I had that parlayed with Jimmy Garoppolo to throw an interception, which was
should have gotten a multiplier on that.
Yeah.
Like 3 times.
Here's the Raiders. Like, guys, this is what the Raiders are. Start Devontae Adams. Start Jacoby Myers. Start Josh Jacobs. End of story. There it is.
I mean, Josh McDaniels gets a lot of deserved shit, but I love him for fantasy this season. I mean, this is a super condensed passing offense. They only throw to their good players. I put Jacoby Myers up. I think we have to. First game back off the concussion, gets 12 targets.
How bad are the Patriots at evaluating wide receivers?
It's Bill. Yeah, it's Bill Belichick's massive.
How do you give Juju Smith-Schuster the same contract Jacoby Myers got?
We were all saying it. I remember that was our first reaction. We were like, why not just keep the guy you had?
One game this season, it's like, oh, Demario Douglas is already better than him. He's day 3 pick.
Unbelievable. And that field goal.
That was hilarious. Thank you. So, that was a great penalty in the end. Let them burn off an extra 90 seconds off the clock before kicking it again. I couldn't believe it. The first time I was like, it was sort of defensible. There was more time on the clock, but the second time I was gasped.
Unbelievable. By the way, I saw this. I forget who tweeted it, so forgive me. I probably saw it from fake ass Dov Kleiman, the aggregator supreme. I probably saw it from him, but he stole it from somebody as per usual. And it was the only time since the 2-point conversion has been instituted that a coach in that situation kicked a field goal. So you can make a legitimate argument it was the worst field goal attempt of all time.
That's wild. I had not seen that. That is an absolute. Yeah, I was with you, Tom. Watching the game, I'm like, the first time, I'm like,
yeah, it was a longer. They had more field to cover. There was 90 seconds more. I still would have gone for it, but at least that one was defensible a little bit. But
with 2:30 left, how are you going to put your defense back up?
Yeah, it's your defense that stinks. You've watched them all summer. The first week, the first couple of weeks against the Broncos and the Bills, counting on them to get a 3 and out. Good luck with that.
All right, guys, you can check the Market Report podcast. Well, you are checking it out because you're listening to this, but the article will be up with all the stats and info you need to know at FantasyPoints.com for subscribers. If you want to subscribe to the website, use code GURIFIC25. That's in the show notes if you don't know how to spell it. All the freaking tickets I'm getting. We should have used a different.
Next year, Joe, points 25 or FP 25 or something.
Don't give our trade secrets away, Graham. We gotta.
Sorry.
We gotta
we'll edit this out.
We'll figure something out where we can we can make it easier to spell, so I don't have to respond to 1,000 customer service tickets about it. But check us out over at FantasyPoints.com. Tom and I will be with you tomorrow morning for the Waiver Wire podcast, where we'll break down that Chargers situation. Also, maybe talk about the Monday night games, because we have 2 of them tonight, and obviously the Joe Burrow situation weighs heavily on this entire slate. So for Tom, for Graham, I'm Joe. This has been the Market Report podcast. Take it easy, everybody.